Wait for it to load. Won't be a second. Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again with another podcast. Slightly different to what we normally do, but it's episode 2 of the football podcast. Basically, this is going to be a show where we invite rival guests on, and of course, Flawless to represent our beloved club. You know, there's no one more articulate than Flawless, so I thought I'd let him, handle the main night and all that good stuff. But as you can see, yes. Obviously, you got representing that. As you can see, we've got a few rival fans from different clubs. Luckily, none of them have got their actual fight. No, one's got their shit on, but you can't actually see the fight. So I'm not gonna say who sports. Oh, he's giving it. I was about to say I'm not gonna say who sports one team. I'll let you lot decide if any of them are biased and they give it away. So as always, drop a like, subscribe. Their links are in the description. But we're not gonna hold any punches. Let's flip and get straight into it. You know, first things first. Obviously, like I said, most of you support London teams. I want to know, which derby do you guys look forward to when the fixtures come out? Which one for you lot is the biggest? Because I hear Chelsea fans saying obviously one thing, Arsenal fans say a different thing. Obviously, I know West Ham fans, they're probably got rivalry with everyone. So we'll start with you, Dan. I'll give you a team away. Dan, which fixture for you is the most important from the London clubs, and which one do you hate the most?
Well, it's got to be Tottenham. It's got to be Tottenham because our biggest rival is Millwall, right? And they're not in the league. They're not in the Premier League. So everyone hates Tottenham. It's just a fact. Like, out of all the teams, everyone seems to have the rival with Tottenham. They're just, I'm sorry to say it, Jack, but they're just the most hateable club. So that's the team.
I know you said we're going to take the piss out of the team, but Dan wasn't wasting any time. Straight in there, Jack. I'll let you have your rebuttal, mate. Obviously, I'm assuming there's a few other lads here. You know, Dan's obviously a massive fan. Like, Jack, what are you saying? You know, West Ham don't like you. Do you really care about the rivalry or not?
Well, all I'll say is, right, the games I dread the most are the North London derbies and the games with Chelsea. The games I do look forward most to is the games against West Ham because we keep pumping them recently. So, you know, it's all good.
Are you sure about that?
Of late.
The first team to score and we beat you at your new stadium. That's all I'm going to say. Antonio danced all over that stadium. He violated it.
Antonio's on a mad one at the moment. But so what you saying? You're not putting any respect on West Ham's name, then, Jack? What you saying?
No, they always pull it up against us. To be fair, and it's one of those games that no matter how bad, no matter where West Ham are in the table, they're always going to put up a performance. Even though I was quite disappointed with them last time, but generally overall they do tend to step up. And Mikel Antonio does perform against us all the time, so I'll give it to him and I'll give it to them really for that.
I was about to say Harry Kane loves the goal against West Ham, don't you? I just miss it so bad. I swear every time I've seen him score, Harry Kane's always on score sheet against West Ham. He absolutely loves it, doesn't he?
Same as Arsenal, really. Yeah.
Oh, calling out the other rival. KL, that's you, mate. Who's
Fair shots fired.
Who's the team that you hate the most, man? What you saying?
I mean, obviously, the team that we hate the most is Spurs. I mean, no history, just no future rival. With you, I would say for the neutral that Tottenham versus Arsenal is probably the best rivalry, best derby, probably out there right about now in terms of both teams. I was about to say at the peak of their powers. It's not the case.
Peak of mid-table powers, isn't it? Obviously.
I'm fine with that.
I just had to throw that in there.
It's fine. It's fair. It's very fair. I would say I hate facing Chelsea. I would also say I love facing West Ham. You don't know with West Ham. It's up and down. It's either they're gonna try lump the ball up to Andy Carroll or somebody like that and try get something through bad tactics and old tactics, or they'll just completely capitulate. You know, so you never know.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I was about to say West Ham for some reason always turn up against Man United. I can't remember the last time we've beaten you really, or if it's ever been convincing. Flores will come to you, mate. Obviously, you know we don't support any of the London clubs, but which one for you as a Man United fan? Which one do you hate playing the most? Which one do you respect the most in terms of a sort of rivalry, so to speak?
It's which one do I hate the most and which one do I respect the most? It has to be Arsenal, and that's Arsenal answer to both of them. Obviously, the rivalry during the 90s, early 2000s, so you hate them because of that, but then you still respect them because that still is my favorite rivalry in terms of the Premier League era. Like nothing can beat that. Like I think it's the best rivalry. Like there's so many things you can go from Pizzagate to when Van Nistelrooy missed the penalty to Keenan Vieira in the tunnel. Like there is so many, and I'm very petty, but the fact that I'm naming stuff that Arsenal did tells you how much I enjoyed that rivalry. And nothing's ever replicated it. Arsenal Spurs obviously is a fiery derby. Like they both hate each other, but it still just doesn't. I think because the stakes were so high with the United Arsenal, because geographical, one's Manchester, one's London, there should be no issue. So yeah, hate and respect is definitely Arsenal. They're out of the London clubs.
If I can come in on that, I mean, obviously you're probably gonna come and question. I mean, you're probably gonna question me anyway. But in terms of the rivalry as a neutral, I think the best rivalry is definitely the Arsenal-Tottenham rivalry. I think everyone loves to watch the North London derby. I think that's definitely the best rivalry. But in terms of you respecting Arsenal the most, I think you're living in the past too much. Because if you think about it, the Chelsea-Manchester United rivalry is still prevalent. Because you have to remember, in the new age, especially for someone like me, that's the two big teams going for the title. If you think about it, when Jose Mourinho came along, obviously Jose Mourinho came along after Porto knocked out Manchester United in the Champions League. He ran down the touchline. Comes to Chelsea now. That's the big rivalry. Wins it 2 years in a row. We have a Champions League final against each other where Terry slips. That's still a big factor. We're the only in terms of in the last about 20 years Champions League final English teams. I think Chelsea, to my knowledge anyway, anyone correct me if I'm wrong, but Chelsea, Man United are the only teams from England in our lifetime to have been in the Champions League final. So I think in terms of respect, I'm surprised.
Liverpool Spurs.
What about Liverpool?
Do you mean together?
Liverpool Spurs is probably the worst Champions League final in the history of all Champions League finals.
That Dortmund Bayern one was dead when Robin scored that goal. Proper.
Milan Juve 2003. That was the worst.
There's some dead ones about.
The one where Chelsea won, it wasn't great, was it? Chelsea won.
That was a great. You can't say that wasn't a great.
At the end.
Yeah. In terms of a spectacle, it was a good final.
I'll forever hate Bayern for that. That made me cry for many reasons.
Here's the thing with finals though. When your team's in it, as long as you win, you don't care if the game is entertaining. You do not care if the game is entertaining or not at all. Like I don't care. I get what you're saying, Daniel. When you're talking from a neutral perspective in terms of the rivalry. If you ask an Arsenal fan or a Manchester United fan, is that the best rivalry? I guarantee 9 out of 10 will tell you. I enjoyed the Chelsea rivalry, but it wasn't for the issue is that it wasn't for as long. Number one, and number two, that even though there was high stakes, it wasn't like Fabregas throwing a pizza at Fergie. Like you can't beat that type of thing. Bus stops in the tunnel.
That's
like, iconic. There's so much on the field and off the field. It's iconic. Yes, that's the key word. It's iconic.
But if we're talking currently, right? Do you think that currently is that still the same feeling for you? Because obviously a lot of time has passed since then. So does that ever diminish? You know what I mean? Like now that
I'm very petty. I still hate Arsenal.
I think it can.
I still hate Arsenal. Like when
so you wouldn't say Liverpool then at all.
Liverpool
fans would say Man United. They won't say Man City.
Yeah, because Osman asked about London clubs in terms of
London. Fair enough.
Yeah, we asked about London in terms of rivalry. Liverpool number one. Yeah, no doubt about it. Liverpool number one. Like that cannot be beaten. But in terms of London clubs, it's Arsenal. The first fixtures I look for on the list is away at Anfield, then away at the Emirates or hybrids, whichever one.
Wouldn't you think that's generation? Wouldn't that be generational though? Because you're from an era you remember the rivalry with Arsenal. What about people who are younger than you who won't remember that? It's like for example, I think about Liverpool, right? Liverpool fans kept telling me, they kept telling me about their history growing up and whatnot, So I think about this way. The last time Arsenal won a trophy was 16 years. No, a title was 16 years ago, right?
No,
I'm not even used for a shade. I'm not even.
If we're going to talk about titles, are we going to talk about Tottenham? Were your parents alive? I need to jump out of the stream and come back in.
I can't hear. Okay, listen. Just while he's coming back in, there's a couple of comments here. One from United Way. You probably like this one. So Arsenal are 3 big signings away from sealing that 7th spot. So obviously that's interesting. I was trying my best to say it with a straight face, but I really couldn't. I read the first couple of words and I genuinely thought he meant TikTok photos of it. And, and also, I just want to add, by the way, because we were talking about finals, just while I'm getting that back in, there's been a very recent final, hasn't there? Did a certain manager get outplayed by Arteta, or am I missing something, Gail? You tell me.
I mean, obviously, all banter aside, if that's how, this is my thing. If the fan base wants to take it as being outplayed, that's like fair to you, and you can take the game however you want. But if you really want to be serious, it wasn't really about tactical genius. It was literally about two game changers being on the pitch, being in Pulisic and Aubameyang. One game changer happened to go off the pitch, and Aubameyang showed his class. And class is permanent. At the end of the day, I've always been one of the people who said Aubameyang. Because really and truly, some people are going to say that the long
Did Chelsea turn up, though? I don't think Chelsea turned up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly my point. That doesn't come down to the tactics. That comes down to the players at the end of the day. And if you watch Chelsea, especially during the lockdown period, we haven't played well when Pulisic hasn't been on the pitch, or Pulisic maybe hasn't affected the game. And that's what it's come down to. So my thing in terms of the game, people are going to come with they were playing the long ball and they were getting in over. I mean, they were getting in behind us. At the end of the day, really and truly, you scored one goal from it. It wasn't like you scored a number of goals from that one play, if that makes sense. And the Aubameyang second goal didn't come from a long ball. It came from calamitous defending. So that's my thing. It wasn't tactical genius. It was literally class.
Kale's shaking his head. We'll come to you, Kale, then we'll bring you in, Dan. You're a bit more for neutral than Jack, because he's a Spurs fan.
You've got to be neutral about these things, but yeah, go ahead, it's fine.
Kale, we'll come to you, and then Dan, you have a word, because I'm interested to see from a West Ham perspective, because I would assume it's probably difficult for you guys to choose a team they'd want. Kale, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
I agree that it wasn't a tactical masterclass. I think that's a bit excessive to say that it was a tactical masterclass. It was, I think, on the day we were just better. I mean, we took our chance. We got the penalty, and Aubameyang. The one thing I disagree with calamitous defending. You could say that for the Chelsea goal as well. I would say that it was a great pass down the line from Kieran Tierney, and Pepe's play up to that was also brilliant. Plus Aubameyang's finish. I think to call it calamitous defending, it does a disservice to the goal and what. Goal.
I didn't want to do that, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I think that goal was fairly brilliant. In terms of tactical masterclass, no, it wasn't. I think what I also disagree with, that Pulisic is a game changer.
He definitely is.
He was on the pitch for. Who's that?
Wow.
I can't hear anything, so I'll probably be.
Oh, I'm hearing screaming. Sorry.
Sorry. It's from the next door neighbours over in the playground. Just continue to worry about it.
I would say Aubameyang's probably the only game changer on that field. Pulisic has had a great post-lockdown period. I wouldn't class him as a game changer just yet. But yeah, I think Arsenal deserved to win that final on the basis that we had a better second half than they had the first half. I mean, we took our chances. We got the penalty. That was fair. It was great. But it was a pull over the top. But if you got a fast, pacey striker on the left wing, and you're not playing balls over the top to him, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. I hear what you're both saying. Dan, I'm just curious to think from your perspective, obviously regarding the final, but in general, as a West Ham fan, like you mentioned earlier in jest, if you're not familiar with finals, what is the expectation of your club? Like, because I'll be honest with you, like looking at your squad, I was watching my season prediction video that I did literally come August this time last year, and I had West Ham in 8th. So obviously I was miles off. But look, obviously everyone's laughing now. But like, if you look at the squad on paper, like they've got so many bowlers in that team. Like, what's going on at West Ham?
Well, this is the problem. Like, we've got a lot of ballers, but we're not buying players to fit a certain system, right? These players that, right, like he fits here and he plays this type of style of play and can fit in and link up with this player. And like Allaire is a perfect example, thrived in like a front 2, front 3 sort of setup, and we get him and play him as a lone striker. That's pretty much how it's working out, like all over the pitch. We just buy players for the sake of buying players, look at their stats, look at the name value and go, right, come to West Ham, rather than really building a cohesive unit. And that's the big problem with West Ham. We got some really good football players, but no direction, no vision. And as long as we've got these owners, it's going to be hard. So expectation, I mean, look, from what we give up and what they promised us, we should be expecting a lot more. But so what I expect them to deliver is higher than what I expect them to actually achieve. So I expect them to go out and spend the money and build, a relatively successful football club, at least trying to compete to get into the Europa League. But what I actually expect them to do is, probably get us relegated because they're that awful.
That's tragic, man. Sometimes listen to fans that are from lower teams, with all due respect to you guys, it really does make me grateful, man. I'm not gonna lie. But Flawless, I'll pass it to you, man. What are your thoughts on West Ham? Because I know about obviously players come from exports. They've got too many. Like Felipe Anderson, Yarmolenko, for example. You could argue they could make top 6 teams. They're unbelievable players, really, on their day.
They definitely should be higher up the table, considering their ambition, the money they spend. Obviously, they've got their new ground. And it's like, where did West Ham finish in the league? Was it 16th? Was it 15th?
Yeah, I think it was 16th. I think we were 16th.
It was 16th, so it's like you're just a couple places above the relegation zone. Look, I think they finished behind Brighton. And teams like that. So it's and Brighton have nowhere near the ambitions or the backing that West Ham do. So when you look at it, you're like, what's going on with West Ham? Is it a structure thing? Do they have similar issues on a smaller scale to what Manchester United have, where there's no problem with the financial backing? It's more so the people in places. Like Dan just there spoke about the owners. Like he reckons they'll probably mess it up, because they should at least be a top 10 side. At least they should be around a top 10 side. No way they should be finishing behind the likes of Crystal Palace and Brighton and teams like that. It's like, so you really have to look at it.
Yeah, they've got a lot of quality players. One of which has been linked massively to most teams, Declan Rice. Before we come to you, Danny, because obviously I know he's linked to Chelsea as well as Man United. Apparently, I don't know if these pictures are new or not, but there's pictures of him with John Terry and Drogba. I'm assuming they're old, but
they're new.
No, the John Terry one is old. Is about a month old. Drogba's recent, the Drogba's recent, but the Terry one is like a month old.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, that's interesting. Jack, what are your thoughts on obviously West Ham? Your fellow Londoner as well. Is there any thoughts on them in general? Because obviously Fulham will come back up as well. Them and West Ham again, 2 teams that should be doing a lot better, massively struggling at the moment.
I just think, again, what Dan said about the board, it does stem from them. It all, just fish does smell from the head at the end of the day, and you don't have a footballing philosophy in the whole club, as a whole. And then on top of that, you don't, how many academy players are West Ham producing and selling on? Because you don't expect, not even that half of them to make any Premier League team in the first place. And also the manager as well. I think just a combination of all the
boys, Jack. He's a great brother.
He's an all right man. I'll take that.
We'll come on to your manager shortly, Jack. Don't you worry, mate.
Oh, don't worry. Oh, God.
Oh, God. We'll come to you first, Daniel. Then we'll come to you, Kel. You can talk about Joyce. I'm sure you've got a lot to say about him. Daniel, what are your thoughts on Declan Rice, etc.? Do you think there's any truth in this rumours? He's massively linked with you, probably more than he is than us. I suppose we need a CDM as well. But what are your thoughts? Would you take him? And do you think there's any sort of truth behind that?
Yeah, just to quickly add on to Dan, I think Dan was perfectly right in saying the board in terms of West Ham. I think West Ham definitely need to be aiming higher than what they are currently achieving. I think they are. I think the board are trying to show that they invest the money, but we as fans were not stupid. We know what you're like. They're just not buying the right players to suit the manager. I think perfect example that I'm sure Dan must have been angry about was I don't know if the rumours, when Bilic was bringing on Snodgrass and he asked him what position do you play when he was coming on. Snodgrass even confirmed that. So it's just things like that. That should never be happening in a football club as big as West Ham. So yeah, but in terms of Declan Rice, I think Declan Rice, quality player, 21, showing leadership qualities. He's basically, is he the confirmed vice captain or was he just holding the armband? Was it that?
He hasn't been confirmed yet, but he was basically they decided, right, if Noble's not on the pitch, you're taking the armband. But I believe I think Aaron Creswell is actually our vice captain, but
okay.
So yeah,
yeah, he's not really captain material, but that's why Declan Rice got it. Really, when Noble wasn't there, it didn't go to Creswell, it went to Declan Rice because Declan Rice is always talking.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd take Declan Rice in a heartbeat. I think Twitter, again, it's a Twitter thing, and people have to be careful about following it. He can be a quality centre back, even though he has been playing CDM for West Ham. I definitely think his future position is a centre back, a commanding centre back. We lack a lot of that right now, and I think he has the ability to become a top quality centre back. He's got the leadership qualities that Chelsea lack. I think if you watch the BT Sport analysis of Chelsea Bayern Munich, I think there was one goal from Bayern Munich that really summed up Chelsea's season in terms of the leadership and lack of it in the back. You see Kante, Kovacic, and Emerson, Zuma, and Christensen all lined up, not facing each other and not talking to each other when a cross is about to come in. And it's all positional awareness and just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I think Rice obviously doesn't solve that, but he improves our defence a lot. And he'll go a long way to improving our backline and helping Lampard.
I don't think he wants to play there, though. I honestly don't think he wants to play there. He's enjoying playing in that midfield. He wants to get forward more. Like David Moyes just gave him license. I said, do you know what? Do it. Go and get forward more. Try and score more goals and things like that. And that's what he's trying to do. So that's going to stifle his development.
Think about it like this, Dan, though. If Lampard was to bring him to the side and say, I see you being a top quality centre back, don't you think that as a young player you'd think, maybe let me give this a chance and let me see if that's the truth?
Yeah, but when he's just starting now to add that attacking side to his game. As he's starting to develop that attacking side, and is he then going to cut that out and go, you know what, centre back? Yeah,
he's too progressive. He's too progressive of a player to be playing at centre back, and he breaks lines. He's got that quality on the ball that, even though he can play centre back, I think, like Dan said, he's improving his game going forward as well, and he's willing to make those runs. So.
It'd be a massive waste, I think.
Yeah, it would.
I honestly think it'd be ridiculous if you move to centre back. But listen, guys, I want you to talk about one particular thing. Kale, we'll start with you. Obviously, Declan Rice in particular, obviously a fantastic player. But there's one thing that we got to discuss. What colour is London? Obviously, I'm assuming West Ham, you might be a neutral in this as well.
I've got something. Don't worry, I've got something to say. I want you to put down your statements.
Sure,
right?
And obviously, Jack, you can, obviously, it's hard for you to say that it's not, it's white, but you can let us know if the shift is with yourself and Arsenal regarding that, because obviously Arsenal fans are going to say otherwise, I would imagine. Kale, start up for this. Kale, we're going to start with you first, mate. What are your thoughts, mate? Is Arsenal the leading team in London still? Is it still red?
I would say that it's definitely not claret and blue. I would say it's definitely not white. North London is red. That's for certain. It's hard for me to say London is red, considering that Chelsea won the Champions League, and have gone on to win multiple leagues recently.
Thank you, mate.
It's probably not the answer you're looking for, but it's the truth, and I can only offer the truth. I'm afraid
that's real. I never expected.
I'm
respect
speechless. I've never known.
I respect
never heard an Arsenal fan. My neighbour's an Arsenal fan, and he's never said that in his life. So fair play.
I would say, in terms of history, in terms of class, London is certainly red. Arsenal just. If you weren't from London and you supported us, if your team was going to be a London-based team and you weren't from London, historically it would be Arsenal, not Chelsea, not West Ham, because of one man, and that's Arsene Wenger.
Glory hunting, basically. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically what you're describing.
You got plastic fans, mate. That's what you're saying.
Wait, Manchester United fan?
What glory have we had in 7 years with fucking shit?
A Manchester United fan can't call Arsenal fans from outside London glory, especially the London-based fans. Come on now.
I'm putting it out there. I'm Manchester born and bred. Just letting everyone know that.
You're fine.
Just letting everybody know.
The London ones they're all glory.
I'm not from London anyway, so it's all good. Jack, we come to you, mate. Obviously, I know you think London is North London is definitely white. You know, you finished above Arsenal 5 seasons on the bounce. I think it is now. You know, since the last couple.
They should get a trophy for that, no?
Yeah, I think they got one star season. It's how do you call it?
Well,
I don't know. Jack, you tell me, mate. Would you get?
But first of all, the Audi Cup won't be running this summer, so we'll be the holders for 2 years in a row.
Oh, back to
back to back. And Arsenal say that.
Yeah, it's Arsenal.
Exactly.
Arsenal can never.
Arsenal, never. But in all honesty, I would say it's generational, ultimately. So when I was growing up, you know, when I was about 17, 18. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not throwing shade at Arsenal intentionally here. I'm just going to say that. So 16 years ago, Arsenal won.
As you are, so don't worry, man.
Yeah. 16 years ago, Arsenal won the last one, the title, right? When I was about 16 myself, it's been 16 years roughly about since when Liverpool last won the title in 1990, right?
Right.
But when I was growing up, obviously, Man United were the biggest. Man United had multiple league titles then. You know, they were the biggest club. They were top dogs. They were well above Liverpool. They were, you know, it was clear as day at that time. So it is generational because the generation above me would have said Liverpool, right?
Oh yeah, I suppose.
So in that sense, if someone is, you know, 16 now, and if they, you know, if you ask them who's the biggest club in London, they're going to say Chelsea. They've seen Chelsea win a Champions League. They've seen Chelsea win multiple league titles. You know, they were alive. You know, for how many times Premier Leagues have Chelsea won? What, 4, 5? It was 5, isn't it?
Well,
yeah.
In this decade, I think it's 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then in the Jose decade, it was
all in all, so. But yeah.
So you both gone for blue, which surprises me. I'm not gonna. Well, it doesn't surprise me, but I thought we'd have a bit more.
Usmaan wanted more debates. That's why. Don't bring it.
I'm prepared. I know what collab.
I know I was in prepared.
He's gonna stare.
Dan, what are you saying? Obviously, the West Ham fan. Obviously, you hate all of them. Let's be real, innit?
Come on, Dan. Let's go for a clean sweep of Chelsea.
Right, before I talk about West Ham, right, I'm gonna say this: if I'm real, I have to say Chelsea, right? As much as like Chelsea is pissing me off lately. Sorry for my language.
Yes.
But I have to say Chelsea because you have to look at recently, like what's happening lately. You can't keep going to history because then, you know, you would have clubs like look at clubs like Everton and Nottingham Forest and flipping Aston Villa and that. Just because they've done stuff in the past don't mean you can't shrink as a club and you can still be compared. That's like saying like, you know, Everton's a bigger club than Chelsea and stuff like that, like, or whatever. So you have to go on recent, and on recent, Chelsea are a recently more successful club, right? And here's the thing with West Ham, right? In London, out of all of the clubs here, we are the only clubs who have had consistently bad ownership, yeah? Consistently bad. Like you go back from the Kerns, then we had the Browns, then we had the Icelandics who looked like they had some good intentions, made some bad moves, got sued by Sheffield United with the Tevez saga, then went bust, and now we got these owners, right? So to have these consistently bad owners, right, that have we've produced some of the best players this country has seen, right? Sold them off, everything. To have the following and the fan base that we have, there you have to put some respect on our name.
Are you just not like Newcastle though? The way you just described yourself, I feel like it's just no disrespectful.
No, but
Newcastle.
The difference with Newcastle, they're a one city team. Newcastle, right? They're a one city team. So
that makes a lot of sense.
If like Cale said, if you're gonna pick a London club, no, you might pick Arsenal, you might pick Chelsea, you might pick I would say glory hunting. It's hard to say Tottenham, but Tottenham obviously is still at least. But they're at least in the Champions League. If I'm going to put any respect there, so if you want to follow a team that's in the Champions League, right? So, yeah, Europa League this season, isn't it? Oh, they was in the Champions League.
Your bare shot being fired.
I'm just saying. So the fact that so many fans globally, worldwide, choose our club, right, where they could all just flock to these glory teams. And I know, like, obviously with Arsenal and Tottenham, the glory is not as much as maybe, you know, it might be, but there's still. No, but I'm just saying, it's hard for me to say glory, right? No, but I'm gonna say this: it's still more of an attractive. Like if you're a club and you just want to follow someone successful who can win stuff, Arsenal and Tottenham and them, right, are more attractive to those sort of fans. So the fact that we still get a massive share of a fan base from London teams is a big credit to us as a club and what we're about. So I'm not going to say London's claret and blue, but you have to put some respects on them in the situation, considering what we've had to deal with and the fact that we still get a lot of fans worldwide. So that's what I'm going to say. But ultimately, Chelsea, yeah.
Wow, before we come to you, Dan, obviously your ego's getting massive, yeah. Flawless, what you saying? You going for Chelsea as well? Is it clean sweep? Or are you going for something different?
Yo, you know what? In all seriousness, yeah, what I'm about to say sounds like a joke, but like I'm being serious, even though I'm laughing before I even say it. London is buying. Let's not get it mistaken. London is buying. Germany. Let's not get it mistaken.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
And here's the stats to back it up. Since 2015, yeah, Bayern Munich versus London clubs, the aggregate score is 31-9. Like London's buying, like it cannot be disputed. Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, West Ham, all fighting over crumbs. They're all fighting for second place.
We're undefeated against Bayern.
Exactly. The other team can't say that.
Exactly.
You know what? West Ham might have a case for the second spot, because if that was Munich against the Manchester sides and they were 31-9, if someone said to me, "Is Manchester red or blue?" I'd be like, "It's Bayern." That's my answer to it. By 31-9. The London club's got to bounce together, man. The London club's got to create a super team.
Listen. We beat Bayern in the Audi Cup final, all right? Don't take that away from us. So, yeah.
Well, now we flipping put is the flag down against bloody Spurs. Like they're flipping ground. Shall I tell you what's funny about the Bayern thing? That's exactly what I was going to say as well. It's red and it's Bayern. But what I find so funny, Arsenal got slapped first. And then everyone was calling in Arsenal 10-1. Spurs, Chelsea fans.
Wait. It was 10-1 twice. It was 10-1 twice. Let's not forget.
Sorry, it's 15-3.
10-2.
It's 15-3. They got slapped the third time 5-1 as well. So that man's buying social media tweeting out, "Oh, we got your Europa League" and all that good stuff. But then Spurs fans come along, they're chatting shit, and then madness. What was it? 7-2 for you lot as well.
7-2.
And then Chelsea fans are piping up, and then at home as well. And the Chelsea fans are piping up as well, like, "Yo, you guys got slapped by Bayern, don't we? When we show you guys doing," and then fucking you guys got your ass laid out as well. Honestly, it has to be Bayern for me as well. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Obviously, best team in London without a doubt. And to be fair to you, Dan, like you said, you're undefeated against them. So West Ham close second for me is gotta be
exactly.
Without a shadow of a but boys, the next topic I want to discuss, as I said prior to us starting the recording, there's one thing that most of us got in common. I don't know if you can put Chelsea in this bracket now because the boards seem to have got their shit together. Our boards are absolutely shocking in terms of recruitment, in terms of actually investing in the clubs. My question to you guys is, do you think a lot of boards, and I suppose Newcastle, you could throw them in here, a lot of boards at top clubs or clubs in the Premier League are ruining football? That for me personally, you know, it's not feasible for clubs to be run by the fans, but it seems like it's getting to the stage now, everything's just a business. And when is the sort of stopping point? Because like you said earlier, Dan, West Ham could have got relegated. Newcastle, it looks like they could have got relegated as well if it wasn't for some individual madness from Steve Bruce. Flawless, we come to you first and foremost, because obviously there's a lot about the Glazers. What are you thinking? Do you think the board have too much power in the way the clubs are run, or do you think that's just how it's always going to be?
Yeah, the board do have a lot of power because they're the ones who run the club. The issue I have with boards and business people getting involved with football clubs is they don't get footballing people in the footballing positions. That's why people get on Ed Woodward's case. In terms of the business side, United as a business is fine. In terms of, I'll use them as an example. In terms of running and creating a profit and being in the green and things of that nature, and our revenue being high and merchandise being high. So we has no problem on that side. The issue Manchester United have, and the issue I have with our board is, why is there not footballing people in the footballing positions? Let's get the best of the very best. If it's physios, why not get the very best physios? United need a sporting director. Go and get the best sporting director. And the thing is, it's not that difficult to figure out, because if you look at other teams that are run well and other teams across Europe, they all pretty much have a similar structure. So it's like, if they're being successful and Real Madrid are winning 4 out of 5 Champions Leagues, I would look at them and be like, what are they doing that we're not? And try and not take their whole structure, but take the good bits away from it and have a look at that. So yeah, it's one of them. Like, you just want footballing people in the footballing positions and not business people making footballing decisions. Because as you can see, Manchester United have got it spectacularly wrong for 7 years. And even under Fergie, even though we did well and still won Premier Leagues, that's because Fergie's the GOAT and he managed to get the best out of the side that he had. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree in terms of getting the right people and people know about football, especially with Man United. And I think practically all of our boys here can relate. Kale, I'll come to you. Every single time they announce, top richest clubs, of course, Man United in there, but Arsenal are very high up every single time. And we hear the same story every single summer, apart from last summer when you actually spent a bit of money. Arsenal got no money to spend. Jokes aside, I do actually think Arsenal are closer to closing the gap to 6th position than people. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But the aside, I think Arsenal obviously got a good foundation. It is the board that is holding you back, isn't it? Realistically speaking,
I don't know. I'm not here going to be defending Kroenke or anything like that. That's definitely not the case. But I would say that any time that he's given us money, we've kind of wasted it. Mustafi, Xhaka, to name a few. Lacazette, we spent 50 million on Lacazette, didn't play him, spent another 50 million on the striker in Aubameyang, the half a season after. So I feel like what we need to do is, because we know that we're not going to have that much money to spend every year, it is just try to find gems and try to pay as little as possible to just try build up that team. I will say that on the point of getting football people in the higher positions, in the ball positions, I'd say Arsenal are the only team that have done that, and it's somehow hindered them. Edu is now our technical director, and it only seems his only agenda is to line the pockets of Jurbashan.
Can I just ask you a question? Actually, it's just come to my mind, and obviously I'd love to hear what the other guys have got to say on this. Just regarding about the fact that you released 50 plus workers, what are your thoughts on that? Like, Ozil's on 350k. There's speculation that obviously you're going to sign up to a new contract, but the point I'm trying to make is if you can afford 350k a week, I don't even know how much their wage is going to be. It's not going to be even remotely close to that, is it really?
I feel like Ozil and his wages and his wage demands are obviously the scapegoat to the fact that we have a multi-billionaire owner. If he wanted to continue paying those workers, 55 workers, he could easily do so. So I'm not here to scapegoat Ozil. If any of us were in the position that Ozil is in, to be in London, to be paid £350,000 a week, we'd all take it in a heartbeat. I would say on the Ozil thing that he's not going anywhere, so I don't understand why we're not playing. It doesn't matter. We finished in the FA Cup, so we finished ninth. There's no creativity in that team, so I don't understand why we've got to play a player on 350k just to not play him. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make financial sense, and it doesn't make footballing sense either. I would say that hopefully this transfer window that we spend a bit smarter. I mean, I think he gave us £45 million last year. I have to say, apart from David Luiz, it was spent wisely. So
you get the Willian now on the free as well, isn't it? So it seems like you love Chelsea's elder players. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if
it seems like Arsenal
as well.
It seems like Arsenal are just Chelsea's retirement home. I mean, was it Czech first, David Luiz next, and now
Benayoun.
Mm-hmm. I like Benayoun. I can't say anything bad about Benayoun. I like him. He's a good player.
I love it because Arsenal used to always say we were their retirement home, and now the tables have turned. The tables have turned.
Right,
it's good. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. It's funny how people work that way, man.
Yeah,
but
no, I was about to say no, regarding the retirement home thing. Just to add to that, Kale. Why do you think the board keep going for these freebies? Like we've already mentioned, it just seemed like they're trying to save money. You said that they have spent money, and I agree they have to an extent. But a lot of the players that they're signing, let's be real, man, they either no one wants them. They turn out to be good players, don't get me wrong, but they're all for small amounts. They're not willing to pay like 50 million for Partey, which is ridiculous for me. Like he's a bowler, like it just don't make sense.
I'm always here trying. I want Arsenal to spend the big bucks, but the simple fact of the matter is they're not. Kroenke's never going to do it. So I mean, then you could argue you spent 50 million on Aubameyang, you spent 72 million on Pepe. So you never know. I don't know.
You've not had Champions League football for a while as well, so there's that extra revenue stream.
Kroenke's a billionaire. Kroenke is a billionaire.
He's loaded down. I'm not giving it. I think that's
it is usually though. FFP has held you back, but I think they've relaxed the FFP this season.
Well,
but in the past, I think that's held you back.
Here's the thing with FFP. We've seen City get around it. We've seen PSG get around it. So if you have enough money, you can get around it. Why is FFP like City broke it and you can get around it? So it's like he can definitely get around it if he wanted to.
Yeah, and I just don't think he wants to, and that's the problem we're gonna face. He ain't going anywhere unless the fans, I don't know, just stop paying tickets. But that's never gonna happen.
I think what it comes down to in terms of owners is just that, not even to try and rub salt into the wound or try and boost Chelsea's ego or anything, but Roman loves football and he loves Chelsea. At the end of the day, you need an owner who loves football, because if you have an owner who loves football and loves the club, then he's willing to do everything for the club. If you look at what Roman's done for the club in the past, there was even jokes made recently about him. He doesn't care about Chelsea anymore. He's not trying to get his visa renewed and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he's put people in the right position to make the job easier. You had Michael Enemalo, who was director of football, trusted advisor. After he leaves, you've got Marino, who's in charge, who's one of the best negotiators in football. You add Czech to that, so it gives appeal. Players who are coming to the club know a legend who has played at the top football. So you've got the right people in the right places where Roman doesn't actually have to be in Chelsea on a day-to-day basis for football to run smoothly. So that's what it comes down to. If you look at David Gold and David Sullivan, for example, they're literally getting any manager, buying any players and saying, make sure you work with these players and make sure these guys work on the pitch. At all. It's not structured. If you look at Tottenham, Daniel Levy, he's always looking for the best possible deal. But in looking for the best possible deal, he doesn't see the bigger picture. You've got Kroenke, who owns the Denver Nuggets and Los Angeles Rams, and he's so focused on his American teams. Because if you look at his American teams, they're actually doing well. So it's like he's not focused on the football side of things. The Glazers as well, like, it's more of a business. Obviously, United will always be United. I mean, they've built such a stature where players will always be willing to come to United. But again, it comes down to the owners not loving the club and not loving football so much so to ensure that the best results are possible in terms of transfers and everything like that.
Yeah, you kind of obviously, well, you spoke on most of them. I just want to bring Jack in because, in particular, with Spurs as well, it's been a bit of a weird one because, you know, I'm sure all of us know about Jose Mourinho and his sort of pretense in going to Spurs. You would assume that you've got money, but it just seems that, again, that I know you signed Højbjerg, I think we might be today, actually. Fantastic signing, but again, in general, it just seems like Spurs are being held back by their board. It seems like, you know, Jose Mourinho manages that needs a lot of money. It doesn't seem like he's going to get that back in at all.
Well, we're the kind of club that will always take one step forward and two steps back. I look at 2010, for example. We qualified for the Champions League. That was a moment, that was a summer when we should have been going out there getting players. We've got Champions League football to actually attract better players than what we attracted before. So you'd think we'd, you know, go all guns blazing. But with Daniel Levy, whenever we're on the up, he always reverts to type. He always stops spending, or we're doing well enough where, you know, we're generating that money. We can stop. Again, 2017, we finished second, 86 points, you know, the points absolute record tally that we've had. What did he do? He signed Davinson Sanchez for 40 odd mil, which is an absolute rip-off. And that was it. You know, we had a very good first 11.
That was off on the back of a game against Man United. Yeah, he had one good game against Man United and he went and signed him.
Got the wrong centre.
But
yeah, we were, that was again another summer window where we absolutely blew it. We had that opportunity, and he just didn't want to build on that. We had an amazing first team, but our squad wasn't there. That's why we didn't win the league. And then the following summer window, what do? Not spend a single penny, and he went back in this predicament yet again. And Højbjerg is a good signing for what we need in terms of filling a position, but if we actually upped our standards, 2-3 summers ago consecutively, we would look at Højbjerg as we would have overlooked him as a signing. We wouldn't even thought of a player of that caliber to be in our squad, to be in our team at least. But now he's going to be a first team player. Our standards have absolutely dropped.
But you win the Champions League final.
Daniel Levy's negligence.
So you were literally in the Champions League final literally this time last year. So I don't understand. It's like you're falling off a cliff, really. To be fair, we take the piss out of other teams, but if all of our teams here, I'd probably say Spurs have had the worst season, to be honest, given where they started the season. Obviously, Pochettino was still there. Jose Mourinho's come in. He's kind of steadied the ship to an extent, got you to top 6, and obviously celebrate like he won the World Cup for Portugal. But I don't know what's going wrong there. It just seems it's a shambles at the moment.
The signs were already there before we even made the Champions League final. It was that game against Burnley. We lost 2-1, and from I believe we only won 2 Premier League games ever since then, between February and May, and the warning signs were already there. We were dross for that part of the season, and obviously that continued with Pochettino in the beginning of the season that just went. But to be honest, I think what we've seen this season, that's the level of these players. Harry Kane and Son are always going to turn up and be a cut above the rest. You've seen the ability that Ndombele has. But players like the problem with our board and Mourinho as well, which I can't stop back about this, but rewarding mediocrity like Lamela and giving players like Eric Dyer a new contract. Things like that. It's decisions like that, which are why Tottenham Hotspur will never ever not win a trophy in my lifetime. Well, at least not a Premier League. But
I was about to say, come on, man, back to back and all that good stuff. Come on, have a bit of faith. you might go for
he's tiptoeing again. He said, "I'm definitely going to win a trophy next season." And then recently he said, "Whether I win a trophy or not, in my 3 years being here, I'm positive that after that time there will be a better moment for the club, and the club will start winning trophies." So he's obviously changing the objectives of his own objectives for us gradually, and because I think that's because he's realizing that we're not going to sign the sufficient players to win a trophy. We're not going to sign sufficient players to balance the league and the Europa League as well as the other trophies. And I don't know why he took this job. I don't know why he took this job. It doesn't
really make sense, does it?
It doesn't fit. No, exactly.
Listen, guys,
exactly.
I just want to talk about the managers in general. Obviously, we represent different clubs. I wanted to have a bit of a laugh, I'm not going to lie. But what I'm going to say now, and I'm not having any fence sitting, right? We're going to rank from our clubs the worst managers to the best currently. So we're going to obviously...
including David Moyes.
Wow, there we go. Yeah, including David Moyes. Obviously, take into consideration what he's got available. Listen, the fifth one might be a bit obvious today. I'm just throwing that one out there. But listen, Dan, we'll start with you first. Number 5. Number 5. What are you saying? Who is the worst out of our teams here? Who is the worst manager?
Yeah, you know what? If I put anyone but David Moyes, it would raise a lot of eyebrows. No, you know what? I was massively against. But if you take Everton Moyes, you probably put him up a few places. If you take Everton,
who are you putting him above Dan? If he just says Everton Moyes hypothetically, I know you're going to say.
Well, definitely. At this time, At this time, like, I think Arteta is still unproven. I know, obviously, look, it's a great achievement, obviously, with the whole FA Cup thing. I think Chelsea imploded. Like, I won't go too much into it, but with the whole red card and then the injuries and that. But you got to give him some respect for that. But still, people are acting like he's already established and he's this great manager. There's still a lot of question marks. He hasn't had this full season, so maybe bump him up over that. Again, Lampard, still it's great what he did with the transfer ban. Great what he did with the transfer ban, but still unproven. So, maybe bump him up a few points there. Jose Mourinho has dropped down, but I wouldn't put him above. You can't put him above Jose. But I'm just saying, we're talking about a different David Moyes here. I'm not making a case to say David Moyes should be above those managers as it is. However, they've got a lot to prove in football. They've been in it they've been in management for like a second, So David Moyes has obviously had a lot more time to have these failures. So the only reason I would maybe consider putting him above those two managers, is on experience. But if we're going at the moment seasonally, I have to say David Moyes. Obviously, I can't put him above higher than that.
Dad, I'm not gonna lie. Listening to you talk about him, man, I almost missed him for like 0.1 seconds there. But obviously, that didn't last long. I'm going to ask about Lampard as well, being in the manager of the season. Obviously, we'll talk about it shortly when it comes. I just think that's absolutely ridiculous, but I'm sure Daniel will have something to say about that. Flores, what do you reckon? Fifth, he's gone for Moyes. Are you going for anyone different? What are your thoughts?
What is it? The worst? What's the question? The worst manager out of the five of them? What this season or in general?
Yeah, no. So our 5 teams that we've got here. I want us to rank in order from obviously the worst to the best, so to speak. So, I suppose you can base it on their careers. Obviously, Jose Mourinho would be closer to bottom otherwise. So, based on where you think they're tactically at, or in terms of what they've got to offer left in the game.
Basically, off the season.
Yeah, you can. What they've got left to offer in the game.
Yeah. Just remember, your best manager of all time, chose David Moyes. Yeah, your best manager rated David Moyes.
And you know what? You know what you're saying there, Dan, is 100% facts. And as much as I love Fergie and he's the GOAT, he made mistakes too, and that was one of them. I didn't want Moyes from the jump. From before Moyes got in, I did not want him. I was like, do not get this guy. He is not the man. And I was proved correct. So in terms of the 5 of them, we'll get into the rest. And why I don't rate him because it's tough, because it's different things. But in terms of the worst, is Moyes. Out of 5 of them, it's Moyes. No doubt about it.
I feel like this one's going to be pretty straightforward. Obviously, the other one's going to be a bit more controversial. KL, what are you going for? What are you saying?
It's obviously Moyes, but to come back on Dan's point about Moyes being put above Arteta and Lampard. Well, maybe Lampard. I can agree with Lampard, but Arteta. I mean, in how many years was he at Everton? 8.
Yeah, it was about 8.
How many trophies did he win? He played some exciting football.
Come on, don't drop that one.
Yeah, but he had pennies. He had pennies to work with. Arsenal were a broke club. He weren't spending no 70 million on no Pepes. He didn't have no.
Cahill, you're a bit ungrateful because without Moyes, Arteta wouldn't be the manager he is today. So you're a bit ungrateful.
Yeah. You know what? I might take my point back. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Stop popping him up.
Who do you think you learned from it? Who do you think you learned from? It wasn't Pep.
Exactly.
Sorry?
He didn't learn from Pep, mate. It was Moyes. That was the mastermind.
So really, Arteta will always be under Moyes, surely.
Exactly. The people can't be the master.
Exactly.
But real seriously, 5th is Moyes.
Straight to the point. Jack, what you saying? Who are you going for 5th? Jose Mourinho, or do you think Ndembele? Which one is
it? I'd like to put Mourinho 5th, but
wow.
I mean, David.
Jack proper doesn't rate Mourinho, doesn't he? Honestly,
honestly, Mourinho against teams that are mid-table and below, he is just as bad as Moyes. The kind of football we play. It's as if he's just putting players out there and just telling them to try and do something, try and get some. I don't know what you should do, but just conjure something up for me. In big games, he's obviously much more focused and he will have a tactical plan. as Kaya will know. But in he's lost. He's not it. But ultimately, you know, I have to give Mourinho a season. I have to give Mourinho a full season and a summer window to make that full judgment. So I'll probably put Arteta third. I'll put
wait, where are you going fifth? Fifth. We want fifth first. Where you going for
Jack
fifth?
jumped the gun, you know.
I know,
Jack
Jack
Jumped the gun.
Where you going
And
for fifth?
Arteta third. I'm gonna have serious questions.
Jack, who's your fifth? Is it Moyes as well?
Oh, yeah, it's Moyes. Yeah.
Okay, right. Daniel, obviously you get a special option in it in terms of you can put Kepa in there as well, depending on how you're feeling in it. So obviously, you know, enough to say it. But Daniel, who are you going for? Lampard? What do you reckon? A bit for flopping at the season and
then. No, I think like obviously, yeah. I mean, the easy answer is Moyes, but yeah, you've got to remember, like, let's take into consideration everyone's seasons. Really and truly, Arteta hasn't. Yeah, he's won the FA Cup, but he hasn't really shown us. Like, of course, Arsenal are improving, and we've seen that he's got a tactical plan. But to say that,
yes,
to rank him based on everyone who's basically had near enough a fullish season, and to put him above some of these other managers, I mean, he really took Arsenal. He didn't take you up any places when he had the opportunity to take you up places. So we got to remember that, yes, he won the FA Cup, but also the league does matter as well. Like, football is about winning trophies, but the league does matter as well.
Danny, just to come into that, sorry to interrupt you, mate.
Yeah.
Him winning the FA Cup is basically him getting fifth, because what's the difference? He gets Europa League football anyways.
Yeah, of course. He's got the trophies, but you have to remember that in the league as well, Arsenal weren't that great in the league as well. Like, they weren't that great, and that's fact. Even under Arteta, like, you have to remember on a game-by-game basis, yes, they were improving and they were showing better signs. There was a clear plan from Arteta, but it's not like they were winning. They went on a 9-game win streak with Arteta. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't want us to jump the gun with Arteta. Yes, he's showing signs of being a quality manager, but I don't want us to be so quick to say that Moyes is fifth because Arteta has won a trophy and
Arteta's been a manager for like 6-7 months, isn't it? Like,
exactly,
really.
like literally. And my thing is, yes, West Ham do have better players to where they should be. However, I was one of the people that said West Ham would get relegated based on their form, and I think Moyes' experience is what basically got him out. And obviously, Antonio's purple patch, no one could have predicted that. But yeah, Moyes' experience is what was able to get him out of that. And I don't know if you put. Obviously, it's hypotheticals, and I don't want to do that. But if you put Arteta in that situation, I'm not going to say he gets West Ham out of relegation. Any of the managers, anyway. So, yeah, let's not jump the gun and say Moyes is a terrible manager. But
so you're going Arteta fifth, then? Is that what you're saying?
I'll go Arteta fifth, just based on the season. Based on the season.
So basically, to conclude, what you just said is that the FA Cup loss is still hurting him. That's basically what he said. Okay, let's move on to fourth. Let's move on to fourth. Flawless, what you saying? Obviously, it's going to get a bit more controversial now, because man's
fourth. Who's left? So we got Lampard, we got Oli, we got Mourinho, we got Arteta. That's right. The four I'm named there.
Correct, yeah, that's right.
All right. This is tough. As much as it pains me to admit him, because I'm a big fan of him when he was in his prime, and prime Mourinho was different. But this Mourinho we are seeing now is sad to see. Like, no disrespect to Spurs, but a manager the caliber of a Mourinho shouldn't be at Spurs. But that goes to show how far he's fallen. Because this is a man who's won Champions Leagues with 2 different teams, won back-to-back Premier Leagues, and that's only been done by 2 other managers. So to see him, he's like a boxer who's boxed on too long. That's how I look at Mourinho. I think he's done at the top level. I think he can still win you a Europa League, a FA Cup, a League Cup.
Spurs the top level, though, Flawless, with all due respect.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying, isn't it? Like, I think he's done at the top level in terms of winning trophies at the top level. Yes, I still think he'll win an FA Cup. He can still win an FA Cup, a Europa League, or a League Cup. But in terms of winning Champions Leagues and winning Premier Leagues, I think he's done. Whereas the other 3, even though I'm not a massive fan of Oli, and we'll get on to that. We'll get on to Oli, and obviously Lampard and Arteta are both new, so I think they all have higher ceilings. Well, they're definitely Lampard and Arteta, so I'd have to go Mourinho fourth because I think he's done out here at the top level. I think he's finished.
I'm not gonna let that does surprise me a bit, but in terms of what you said as well, it's hard to disagree with that. Jack, we'll bring you in there because obviously I know you're a massive fan of Jose based on what you've said today. He's gone for Jose in fourth. What are you going for?
I'm more inclined to agree with Flawless. Flawless was very optimistic there about how he potentially win an FA Cup or Europa League. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest.
You know what? That's the Mourinho fan in me. That's what it is. That's what that is. Because when even though I'm a United fan, when Prime Mourinho came in, like I had to respect what he was doing. Like when he was at Chelsea talking about.
You got to think about the board and the players that he's going to bring in. It's not going to be even of that level, to be honest. And it's got to be Mourinho. It's got to be Mourinho based on his lack of adaptation. I think if players had that mentality before, the never say die, the running through brick walls, if players like obviously when we were growing up, players had a lot less power. It was all about the manager. The chairman and the people above the manager didn't even have as much of a say in signings. Like they do now, and football's just gone past him. He hasn't adapted. I just feel it's got to be Jose now. And his choice of clubs. It's a huge mismatch, and I just feel he's here with Spurs because he's with his family. He's at home in London. He can't complain. He's getting 15 million a year. If I was him and if I was finished, I'll take that as well. To be honest.
Oh, sorry, go on. You sticking with Jose then?
Yeah, it's going to be Jose. It's going to be him. He's not the same manager he was.
Right. Obviously, that's music to Kale's ears because I'm assuming Arsenal fans up to despise him with a passion. Daniel, we'll come to you. Sorry, what are your thoughts? Would you take Jose at West Ham? Do you think, or do you think he's not good enough, mate?
No, listen. I think everyone's being a little bit harsh on Jose. Because. Look at the situation, that he's coming with Chelsea. They've not been spending money. They haven't really got the greatest squad depth. And also look at him. He lost Harry Kane and Son this season to injury. So
Ali as well.
Ali as well, yeah. He's had big injuries to deal with. He's got an owner who, they've just moved to this stadium. They're still trying to get used to the stadium, and he's got an owner who's not really looking to spend. So, and it's his first season with the club. So really, to expect him to just come and start, banging out trophies straight away, it's a big ask, and he's, they've finished not in the Champions League, but they've finished. Where do they finish? Sixth,
I think. Six.
Here's the thing, though, we're not expecting him to bang out trophies, but like Jack spoke about, not only is the what happens with Mourinho is it's going to end in flames. Like, we know what's going to happen. Like, he's already fell out with Endo. He's going to fall out with people. The football's going to be bad. And normally you would put up with that because he wins major trophies. But that's gone.
Exactly.
The last major trophy Mourinho won, I think, was the 2015 league with Chelsea.
Europa League.
That's what he said.
Europa League for us.
Nah, I'm saying, I don't class that as a major trophy. Major trophies to me is your Premier League and your Champions League. They're the creme de la creme. Europa League and FA Cups, they're second tier, third tier trophies. No disrespect.
I agree.
Like, that's what your name's built on, and that's what
Mourinho
Mourinho
back Champions League football to Man United, though, didn't he?
Yeah,
he brought you back into the Champions League, got you finished second. He
helped.
He was probably maybe your best manager, like post Fergie.
Dan, who you?
They've all been bad. They've all been bad in it. Trust me, that's not an
achievement.
Fourth, Arteta fourth for me. Like I said, he's been a manager for a second. He's got Aubameyang, who is one of, if not the best striker in the league. Yeah, unbelievable striker. He's got some good players at his disposal. Yes, you got to tip your hat off winning the FA Cup, but really, Arsenal fans should take points away from him for winning the FA Cup, because they was all saying, yes, we ain't got Europa League next season. That's the best thing that can happen to this club, is to not have Europa League. Brilliant. I'm so glad we ain't got Europa League, because now we can focus on the league. What did he do?
Yeah.
He brought them back into the Europa League, which they didn't want. So they shouldn't even be giving.
They didn't want it, Dan. They didn't want it. You know what?
They didn't want it when they thought they weren't going to get it. But yeah, like at the end of the day, he's got some really good players. Like, imagine as well, Aubameyang does not get injured. That man does not get injured. How would he cope if he had to miss out on Aubameyang? Could he still grind out results and grind out wins?
They did miss Aubameyang for 4 games, and to be fair to Arteta, Martinelli did step up in that period.
Yeah.
it's to deal with some of the problems that the other clubs around us have dealt with. You know, Moyes is self-explanatory. The problems that we've got at the club, Tottenham, injuries all over the pitch. Biggest players injured. You know, Man United, you know, losing out on Pogba for as long as you lost him out for. Transfer ban for Chelsea. Yeah, all of these clubs have dealt with these major issues where, you know, some of the best players at Arsenal have all been fine and have had decent, and when they're not there, they've had decent players to slot in. So he hasn't had to put up with the problems. I see you're shaking your head, but come on, let's be real.
Okay, so you've gone for Arteta. So just before we come on to Kale, obviously you're not agreeing with that. We've got a comment here saying when Flawless said FA Cup isn't a proper trophy, you know, Kale was gutted because the bus parade is cancelled. I don't know. You let me know.
Just to clarify, I didn't say it was a proper trophy. I said it wasn't a first-tier major trophy. That's second tier. Yeah. Nobody's out here like to the FA Cup. Yeah, of course.
Kale, Kale. I was going to say, Kale, what are you going for fourth then? I agree with you, Flores, by the way, completely.
I think what Dan just said was absolute nonsense about it. Absolute nonsense. Yes, there's a whole bunch of circumstances that each individual club. Yes, I agree with that. Blah blah blah. But we have no defense, zero, no defense, no creativity in that midfield because they pretty much locked out Ozil. The only thing going for us is Aubameyang, and you could argue Pepe in some spaces. But Aubameyang is the only thing going forward. What's that?
Lacazette's a good player.
No, just because you wanted him at West Ham, you can take him. Honestly, drop his 30 and do it.
Oh, come on, man.
I would say, and I can't believe this isn't the consensus, that Ole is fourth.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned his name at all. I'm obviously might not.
He's my fourth. He's my fourth. You didn't come to me.
Here's the thing. Cahill. Here's the thing though, with Ollie being fourth, I won't even dispute that. These 5 managers we're naming, the bar is low. The bar is on. Let's keep it 100%. The bar's on the floor. I'm literally, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking more so not about their ability now. I'm judging it on like, all right, what's your feeling? We've seen Mourinho. Exactly.
Here's the thing with Ole's ceiling. It is very close to where he's currently at. Yes, he got. Definitely. I can't dispute that. He potentially could win the Europa League. Yes, I'm not disputing that. But he has been clearly out of his depth, especially pre-lockdown. Was completely out of his depth. Everybody was saying that Ole should go because Pochettino came available. Allegri still available. There were all these names being linked to the Manchester United job pre-lockdown. Post-lockdown, their form has risen. I can't deny that. But also, it's coincided with Chelsea's capitulation in third. Chelsea should have got third. Sheffield's capitulation.
You can't. Let him have his say, and then you can have your say. Go on, Kale, finish off.
Sorry, what? No, what did you say?
Sorry, no. Yeah, finish off. Sorry. I buy it in.
It's just post-lockdown, a whole bunch of teams have capitulated, and it's also coincided with Bruno Fernandes's introduction to the team, which has been excellent. You can't deny it. Pogba's re-emergence as well. He's been key. He has been key in that Manchester United midfield. Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, and Mason Greenwood have all kicked on.
Yeah, man. 5 Avengers out here.
I'm saying it's very good timing. I'm not saying it's not down to tactics because he's very out of his depth. That's why he's fourth for me.
Right. Okay. Can I just add before I pass it to you, Dan? Because I know you're going to say Ali as well. Everything you've just said completely contradicts what all the praise you just gave to Arteta. So you said Arteta. You just praised Arteta for all the Aubameyang. You didn't. Because when Dan said about Aubameyang, you not having Aubameyang, I think he was kind of saying in a sense, if you didn't have Aubameyang, you'd be struggling. But Ollie's kind of brought all these players in. You got to remember, he didn't have to play Marcel in 9. Lukaku was there. So was Sanchez.
But okay. We're 9th. Okay, we finished 9th. So to say that we didn't struggle even with Aubameyang, we did struggle because we finished 9th. Yes, we won the FA Cup, but that's
a knock against the Teta, though.
Say that again.
That's a mark against the Teta. Massive mark.
But for some reason, when Ollie's got good players and he's done well, he gets downgraded. But
Manchester United's team is better than every team that we support. You can't deny that.
We've had a lot of injuries to do.
No, even with a lot of injuries, the only team that's close, I get what Cahill's saying, is Chelsea. Like, that's why when he said Ollie fourth, that's why I'm not disputing it. It's literally, I'm looking at it and I'm like, the bar here is very low. Like, this is low-hanging fruit. Yeah, it's just like, which low-hanging fruit do you want?
Listen, it's not great. The only reason I was disputing it is because I would have put Lampard below Ollie. That's just because obviously Lampard.
Wait, really?
What did he do at Derby? And Ollie's finished above him. So
no, are you being serious? What did he do? What did he do at Derby? I think that's banter. That's banter. He went into one of the. He went into one of the toughest leagues for his first job in football, and he got to the playoff final, finishing sixth in the last position in the playoff position.
He lost though.
But you can't keep saying that because Aston Villa had a far better team than Derby.
All right, okay, listen, who you got? You sticking to Ollie then as well? I'm assuming Lampard's first.
No, I was joking about Moyes not being fifth. I obviously just wanted to mix it up a bit. Moyes is fifth. I think.
What? You can't do that.
We're
ask that.
Listen,
we're done.
You know what?
Let's be all night. You got.
Let's be.
Ollie fourth.
Because obviously everyone's basing it on ceiling and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll put Ollie fourth.
Okay, that's
because I just think people talk about Ollie as if he's a new manager as well. He's had over 10 years of experience. He got relegated with Cardiff. Yes, he won the league with Moldy, but I mean, I think all of our managers win the league with Moldy. So yeah.
Ollie gets so much disrespect. I'm not going to go into it because obviously I'm meant to be neutral.
He got relegated. He shouldn't be disrespected.
Yeah, it's calm. We beat you 3 times this season. It's so good. Anyways, let's move on to the third position. Who should we start with? No, Dan, we'll start with you first. What are you going for? Who's third? Obviously.
Third position. It's this is getting hard now. This is getting hard. I'm weighing up. I'm gonna go. Do you know what? I'm gonna go with Jose just for based on this. Like I said, I gotta respect what he's done with some of the issues that he's had. I agree with some of the things what Flawless was saying about, you know, the way that he can stir the pot and cause a lot of disharmony. So I think that knocks him some points, but he did lose some, you know, his best players. So that's why he's a bit higher. But I'm interested to see what he does next season. I hope it's not good, but I'm going to put Jose in third place. That was tough, but yeah, Jose.
Obviously, Jack's probably fuming right now, but Jack, will you go for number 3?
I did disagree with Dan because even when Kane and Son did come back, there were games when he did not utilise them at all. The game I'm talking Sheffield United, Man United, basically a lot of the games post-lockdown, Everton, he had those players, yet he still didn't play a system which allowed, which basically allowed Son and Kane to have more of the ball. He had Harry Kane dropping so deep out of position, but he did he did change it right at the end. I think particularly against Leicester when to be fair, when Kane did get a little bit more fit, there was an improvement in his sharpness, obviously, but I still think he's not utilising our attack at all. He's always going to play a defensive way against whoever really. He's always going to sit back and get those 2 holding midfielders there. He's always going to play.
If it makes you feel better, mate, honestly. Against West Ham, you know, Jose played a 3 midfield for us, and Pogba was on the bench. He played Fellaini, Matic, and McTominay. So you know, he has done well. So you should be happy that he hasn't gone to that.
Also, did you see the Sevilla bench?
Oh my God!
Did you see the Sevilla? Did you see the Sevilla bench? Like the last time United, and we had Pogba, Martial, Rashford.
The whole squad, Rashford, the whole squad was
there. What he's doing with Ndombele, he's a footballing terrorist, as people say. You know.
My God, Jack, we're gonna be all night talking about Joseph, but let's get on to third. What you said? I don't even know.
Third, Ollie. I think the thing that's holding Ollie back is he's a great man manager. He's a very good man manager, but tactically, you've seen him of late post lockdown.
Yeah.
You've seen when Bruno isn't performing, when Pogba isn't performing as well. He has his what's it called? He has Martial, he has Rashford up there. But tactically, he hasn't got that tactical now that even Jose has, and Arteta has as well. So, yeah, I'd say the reason I think what Arteta has on him is his ability to construct and solidify and get the most out of poor players. Ollie hasn't done that. He's got his best players there, and he's a lot more reliant on them. So I'm just going to put Ollie there, to be honest.
Right, fair enough. Daniel, we'll come to you then. Obviously, we'll come to Flawless. Who are you going for third, Daniel?
I think based on who I have left, Arteta's third. Yeah, Arteta's third. So obviously I had, Arteta's third. I just think, based on the circumstances again, we're talking about what's it called? How well managers have done and what they've been able to do. Managed to win the FA Cup in obviously not the greatest of circumstances. He realized that he didn't have the squad to play the formation he wanted to, so he changed it to a back three. Got the best out of David Luiz, Xhaka and Ceballos. I think the last time we spoke, I said Ceballos is a signing that Arsenal need to make, as in that's someone that they need to really sign, because I'm a huge fan of him, because I can appreciate guys who don't really necessarily get the stats, but they're very, very influential to your team. Kovacic obviously being that kind of player, so works hard, does the job. So yeah, man, Arteta's definitely got a high ceiling. The banner is Pep's son, Pep's cone man, but if you can take Pep's tactics and apply them to yourself and win trophies with it, then I'll be Pep's son too as a manager.
Well, I'm gonna start pushing this David Moyes son instead agenda on social media to stay true. Flawless, who you going for third, man?
Oh, definitely Ollie. Like no debate whatsoever. Like 1000%. And like Jax mentioned, in terms of him just tactically being not good enough, and in terms of relying on the better players we have. And I've said this time and time again. Yes, it's easy to get top quality performance out of world-class players and top-class players. It's easy to have Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, Bruno, and Pogba on the bench. That is easy work to get the best out of them. But then when you have Dan James, Lingard, Gallo, even though Gallo he's got a tune out of your McTominay's, your Freds, he struggles. And the fact that we talk about him like he's a new manager tells you the level of him. He's been managing 10 years. So you've been in this profession for 10 years, and this is as good as you've got. And people try, he was only at mold. You should improve with time. His in-game management is the worst I've ever seen. His in-game management is awful. I can't remember one game where I've been watching it and Ollie's turned it with his substitution, bringing on people at 84 minutes and 80 minutes and things like that. Just missing basic things and stuff like that.
Matt said the other day, literally, our last game. That's
what playing Matter, playing Matter, who's at 10 out wide because he's got no pace. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand playing Matter out wide. Matter's a great number 10. I think he's a very good number 10. He's technically sound. He can pick a pass. Why does he play him out wide? I don't understand that. That makes other managers have done it, but we're talking about Ollie here specific. He has no pace. Don't play him out wide. Play him in the 10. Technically, he's still good. He's creative. He can pick a pass. So yeah, it has to be Ollie, because the other two, Arteta and Lampard, they're more the unknown. They have a higher ceiling. They're both brand new, so we don't know how good they're going to be. Whereas Ollie, I think Cahill said it, this is as good as he's going to get. And one thing I do want to give Ollie credit for is I think he'll give the next Manchester United manager the best possible platform to succeed. That's what he's done. He set it up for the next guy. I don't think he's the man, but he set it up for the next guy.
Fair enough. I suppose you made valid points there. Dan, what you're thinking? Were you going for third?
For third? Oh yeah, I had my third, didn't I? I said Jose.
You said Jose. I said Kale. That's not it. I think it's Kale.
Can I have a joint third?
No.
It's I don't know.
No fencing.
I don't know.
No fencing.
I would say Mourinho.
Okay,
No,
fair enough.
No other reason than Lampard. Actually, I'm going to say.
I think I know your first is anyways, to be fair.
Wow.
I don't think I know yours and Daniel's first.
It's pretty obvious.
See what the other boys are
You've seen Lampard outclass Mourinho twice, tactically outdo him twice this season. So You know, it's an easy choice, KO. You know what to do. You know what to do.
Taking digs at his own team, but bloody hell, you'd love to see it. Right, okay, so lads, just to finish off quickly, just do the last two together. Obviously, the other one that you have is, of course, number one. All right, so let's make this as quick. Jack, who you going for second and first?
It shouldn't be this tough, some people say, but it is quite close to me, and I'm gonna put Arteta second, and it's not because I'm throwing digs at Arteta as well. It's because I'm gonna give Lampard a few props here, because he lost Hazard, he's lost his best player. The number of goal contributions he's had in 18-19 is ridiculous, right? No transfer window, right? He couldn't sign anyone at all. The style of football they've started to implement under him, to play some of the players he's playing, to get Mason Mount starting and finishing in the Champions League position, he's starting players like Reece James as well. I think that backline is absolutely hindering him a lot. I think if he actually does get his players this summer, if he actually does sort that out, I think having Kante not fully fit as well entirely is definitely a big contributing factor too. And he's got them Champions League football. You got to remember, if we're looking at the expectations we had of Lampard and Chelsea this season, did anyone say fourth? Did anyone say?
That's literally my point. No one did. That's exactly my point.
Yeah, because it was only Spurs and because obviously you have the big four, the four that finished fourth, and then you have Arsenal and Spurs. Obviously, Arsenal fell away with the whole Emirates situation, and the Spurs just capitulated. So it's kind of like they should, even though I do believe Lampard's done a good job, like I give him credit for similar to what many points that Jack made, I agree with. But yeah, so I would say fourth is fair, and considering the lead that he had on United pre-lockdown, maybe they should have finished third, but they finished fourth and got to an FA Cup final. So you have to give him credit because he is new. His first season in the Premier League.
He's new to the game.
To be fair, he does deserve credit. I was being a bit harsh on him, but we'll have to wait and see what he does next season. Flores, who was your top two then? What are you going for? What have you got left?
This is tough, and I think it can go either way. But I'd probably go second. I'd say Lampard, and that's just because I've seen Arteta go in, and he's in the worst possible predicament in terms of playing staff and off the pitch. And I've seen him get the best out of a David Luiz, a Xhaka, who I don't rate. I call him the left-footed Jordan Henderson. Like I really don't rate him. And I've seen him get like tunes out of him. And I've seen Arsenal actually be a cohesive unit at a time. Like they beat City in the semi-final. They beat Chelsea in the final. I've seen them go away to Wolves and play very well and win. There's other games I'm sure Cahill can name as well, even though he's had the ups and downs. And that, I think if you put Lampard or Oli in Arsenal situation, I don't think they win the FA Cup. I don't think they look as much as the cohesive unit. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'd have to edge it towards Arteta. I think his ceiling's higher than Lampard's. But again, they're both really new. So it's hard to say. But from what I've seen from Arteta so far, as much as it pains me to admit it, I like it. And I think if Arsenal back him, it could be a success. Because I was one of those that was bantering Arsenal on social media when they got Arteta. And when they got him, I was like, oh, right, he actually looks like a decent manager. Looks like he's got his head screwed on and he knows what he's doing. And Lampard's like that too. Lampard looks like he's got a style and he's implemented it. And I'd like to see him with a transfer window to see what he could do. But yeah, I'd put Lampard 2 and Arteta 1.
I think that's a very fair point. I think Arsenal board, as you alluded to earlier, they need to back Arteta. Then we'll obviously be able to, and he needs obviously a full season for us to actually judge any of them. So I suppose we can have this conversation if all managers are still there next season. I've got a feeling I know who Daniel and Kale's are, so I don't really know if there's any point asking. But Daniel, go on. Dan, we'll leave you to end because yours actually might be on an unbiased opinion here. Daniel, who are you going for? First and second?
First is definitely I'm joking. No, the reason why I say Lampard is I just think it's really, really annoying, how we as fans, I think the best way to put it, because I don't want to speak for too long, is like people's expectations changing so quickly. Like you can't say because he was in the position to finish third, he should have finished third. Like things happen in football, things change. And at the end of the day, when you look at it, at the beginning of the season, the BBC pundits there was only one pundit that had Chelsea finishing in the top four. I've forgotten what pundit it was. Out of about 20 to 30 pundits. And what you have to remember is he lost Hazard, didn't get to spend any money. That's such a huge thing in football, especially when you come into a side. Where Pedro, Willian, aging wingers, Giroud, an aging striker, you have to bring in Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount. You lose Kante for a majority of the season. You try to implement Christian Pulisic, who's coming to a new league. You need to implement him into your team. You've got a defense where there's no one who's solid. You've got Alonso, Emerson as your left backs. You've got Reece James, Aiden Aspilicueta. You've got Christensen. You've got Tomori. You've got Rudiger. You've got Christensen. You've got Kepa, who didn't have a great first season and had an even worse second season. We've not had good players. If you look at the Arsenal team, Xhaka is the Switzerland captain. You've got Lacazette experience. You've got Aubameyang experience. You've got Pepe, who balled out in the French league.
You're not saying that Arsenal squad's better than Chelsea's, are you?
I said the Arsenal squad have got more experience. Experience is normally what gives you the added edge. The reason why Chelsea have got
Aspilicueta in your team, have you know?
But Aspilicueta is not your what's the word? Is not your conventional leader. He doesn't really speak in the back line. He's more of a teacher's pet. That's what everyone calls him. It's the truth. He's not a leader, and that's the things you have to remember. We lost Hazard at the beginning of the season and Kante for a majority of the season. Like, what more do you want Lampard to do as a manager when he's had to implement about 5 of the youth squad into the first team? And then you want to tell me that Arteta, who's been a manager for about 6 months, has shown potential for a higher ceiling than Lampard, he's finished in the top 4, got an FA Cup final, so he's got a Champions League.
Who won the FA Cup final though?
No, but that's not the point though, because en route to the FA Cup, we still had to beat Liverpool. People are forgetting in lockdown as well, we had the hardest fixture schedule. Like, we had to face Man City, we had to face Liverpool, we had to face Wolves, we had to face Sheffield United. People are moving as if we didn't have a tough fixture list. We had one of the toughest, and we beat those teams. So that's my point. Like, Lampard, I saw a comment here. Yeah, I'm a realist in it. I'll be one of the first to say next season that Lampard has been overhyped if he doesn't comfortably get a Champions League place next season, because now he's being backed. We've been able to sign players to suit a certain system. However, based on the circumstances, you can't tell me that he's coming to a team filled with experience and ballers that were shooing to get top 4. That's my point. That's literally my point.
Right, okay, that's fair enough. Sorry, I'll pass it to you after. You started your statement with we've got Pedro and Willian, and then finished it with you haven't got any experience, and then you've got Aspilicueta.
Yeah, but you have to match experience with ability. You have to match experience with ability.
Let me just finish. You mentioned all the young players, which was suited to your agenda, right? So let me just give you a couple of experienced players you've got. William, Pedro. Kante has won the World Cup and was influential in that.
But like I said, he was out.
I agree with what you're saying, but he's still in the squad. He's still around the dressing room. Rudiger, I would say, is fairly experienced. Alonso's won the league. Aspilicueta,
and left wing back. There's context.
Zuma may be young, but he's been around for a very long time. He's been around the squad for a very long time. He's won the league as well. He's been in the squads that won the league. You compare that to Arsenal, Saka, Martinelli, Maitland-Niles, Willock, like Holding.
You know what you've done? What you've done is you've just mentioned their young players. Because if I was to mention their young, that's what you did. No, but I'm comparing it though. Because then if you look at their experienced players, Usmaan, you have to look at it like this. Aubameyang, we have no one near the stratosphere of Aubameyang on our team. We have no one near the stratosphere of Lacazette on our team. You want to say Lacazette is a bad striker, but for a second, hold on. Let me land. For a second striker to get you 12 goals in the Premier League, you can't tell me he's a bad player, and I'd take him on my team. If he's your second striker and he's getting you 12 goals, I'd take him. So please, let's not do that.
But their first strike is your reject. So how does that work?
No, without getting all into it, Giroud is a good backup striker. I'm sure Giroud's a quality backup as a backup striker.
But
I think Giroud is.
You're only saying that based on the lockdown he's had, because a lot of people are criticizing Giroud throughout the season, Chelsea fans and other fans. Yeah, maybe not you, but as a whole season, because I don't want us to get locked down into this idea of the Premier League season was just lockdown results.
Yeah, I get you.
It's the full season.
Okay, that's fair enough. No, that's fair. No, I do hear what you're saying. So fair play. KL, obviously you're not going to agree with that. And then what you saying just to finish? Who's your first and second?
I mean, obviously, Arteta's number one, but to counter those points, you say experience with ability, and you mention names like Xhaka. You forget to mention names like Mustafi. You forget to mention names like David Luiz. You forget to mention so many names at the Arsenal team that just players that aren't good enough. Kolasinac, who's at right back. We got Cedric now. We were fortunate that nobody expected Martinez to have the season that he did. Everybody, including myself, thought he was a dud, but he's proved everybody wrong. I think the only experience, and then when you talk about leadership, our team hasn't had a leader since Patrick Vieira, I would say. You can't tell me otherwise. Aubameyang isn't a captain. Xhaka isn't a captain. Mertesacker wasn't a captain.
David Luiz is a Champions League winning centre back.
Yeah, but I can also say that.
Kante's won the World Cup.
Kante was out for the whole season. But Pedro's not elite. This is what I'm saying. We're going back and forth, but we're not looking at the nuances in it. So if we're just going to do that, then there's no point. We're just going to agree to disagree.
100%. But there are no leaders in Arsenal, and that I am adamant about. But my point is, Arteta's number one. Lampard is number two. Lampard, yes, he had everything was against him, and what he has done, I can agree, exceeded expectation. But then you have to look at the nuances. 66 points last season 66 points this season was he got fourth. Sorry, I don't know how many points he got last season. He finished third, I believe. I think the idea to banter Liverpool, to do disservice to what Liverpool have done this season, is to say that the Premier League hasn't been great this year. So if you are saying that you bring Liverpool down, sorry,
I said the quality is garbage in the Premier League. You're right.
It's horrendous.
You're right.
It's been horrendous this year. So
the quality has been, yeah.
So Lampard, you could easily say if Tottenham were on point, well, I'm not Arsenal. Arsenal haven't been on point. If all these teams have been on point, Chelsea wouldn't have got to where they are. Because 66 points to finish fourth in the Champions League sport is ridiculous. You can't tell me otherwise. You cannot.
So your argument is based on an if.
It's based on a what?
It's based on an if. Because I could tell you what happened was Arsenal finished ninth and we finished fourth, and that was what happened.
Not Arsenal in the FA Cup beating Chelsea. So
okay, and you're in the Europa League and we're in the Champions League, and obviously, yes, you can make the argument that trophies are better, but at the end of the day, if you want to, let's just see. You know what, Usmaan, you're going to round it up, but let's just see what happens next season. That's all I'm going to say.
Listen, boys, we can continue this for another day. I believe Dan is the only person, unless I missed Jack. Have you said your top two?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dan, sorry, it's just yourself. The non-biased opinion. What are you going for, mate?
And the most different. Mine's the most different. I ain't gonna go too much. I ain't gonna go too much into Lampard, because I think what Jack and I think what Daniel have both said have covered it. All of the issues that he's had to deal with. I will say this: it's losing Hazard and not being able to replace him would be like, say, Arsenal losing Aubameyang and not being able to replace him. It's that big a deal. Like, you have them players that are so good they drag you through. We got sued because of how good Tevez was and how much he dragged us and to keep us into the league. That one player can be so important, right? Yeah. Like Payet and all of that. So, and I think what I'm seeing, what people are doing is undermining the importance of Champions League football. You know, my top two managers, the only managers who've got their team's Champions League football. It's huge for you guys, like your teams, because, you know, to recruit the best players, you got to be in the Champions League, right? And the biggest teams, that's where the biggest teams play. You have the chance to win the biggest trophy in world football. You have to be in that competition if you're a big club, surely, right? So Lampard done it. And the other guy who no one's rated, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I'm putting him as my number one.
All right, people.
I don't know about number one.
It's time to go, people.
I don't know about number one.
It's time to go, people.
No. Listen.
End it here.
Okay, that's been your podcast, boys. Thank you very much.
No, like, listen.
I was with you till the end.
I know. To be fair, you even threw me.
You done so well.
You threw me with that one.
This is different to what anyone else has said. I'm gonna go with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer again. His team finished higher than any of the other teams that we're talking about in the league. Got his team Champions League football. Lost out on Pogba, that talisman player who's been so crucial. Man United's team, right? Their squad. I don't care what people say, are a mess. It's a shambles. It's a shambles. To deal with Ed Woodward, right? Who is just a clown, right? With the players, it's almost like a West Ham situation. It's just mishmash type of situation with players, and the problems and the defense, the problems with the defense that Ollie's had to deal with, and even as well, I don't think your fullbacks are anything to speak about. And Martial, I think Martial, I rate him, but he's not always been the most consistent, and he seems to have been getting something out of Martial. The whole post Ferguson Man United has been a mess, and people have been trying to pick up the pieces right? No one's really had a good platform to deal with, like you were saying, that Ollie's sort of building that platform. You got to give him respect on that. He's the only person here the only manager who can still win a European trophy. Granted, it's not the European trophy, but it's a damn sight bigger than the FA Cup. It's a European trophy. So if he gets third and wins the Europa League, like, come on, like you have to give him some credit.
To be fair, obviously I could go on this, but obviously I'm not going to drag it too much. Dan, listen, you're an absolute legend. Someone's throwing everyone off. I'm not gonna lie. Even I wouldn't have put it fair, so I'm not gonna lie. And I'm like a massive Ollie fan. But listen, someone's put London is claret and blue. So there you go. There's a Man United fan for you.
Appreciate that, Michael.
But listen, obviously we'd have to save the debate for another time, because I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting it to last an hour just on the top 5 thing, to be fair. But listen, boys, I just want to say thank you very much for your time. Honestly, I do appreciate it. We'll get you on another time. Obviously, we can go and talk about the other managers depending on the circumstances. And if you do win the Europe, in fact, no, I'm not going to say it because we'll probably be kicked out on Sunday and you'll all be messaging me. Anyways, I'll leave it there. The links and the social handles are in the bio. As always, make sure you show love to the other boys. They make fantastic content as well. In case you don't know, Kale is actually co-host with Kojo. We're always pushing Kojo's content, so make sure you support the homies and obviously show the rest of the boys love on their socials. Apart from that, it's been your boy Usmaan. Thank you very much. Take care and peace.
Peace.
Dan, I think you've just fucking surprised everyone.